Hey everyone, this is Leanne from Of Love and Shiplap and the founder of That Tutorials and More. Please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss out on any of our new videos. And also check the video description for a link to the That mobile learning library app. Inside of our app, you can access all of our free and exclusive tutorials in our neatly organized content libraries, as well as access our affinity masterclasses and exclusive communities. In this tutorial, I am going to be showing you how to sublimate the Waffle towels from Johnson's Plastics Plus. This particular item was part of the sublimation trend box back during the spring, I believe, of 2023. If you didn't get this product yet, I definitely recommend getting some of these on hand if Waffle towels is the product for you. If you are not familiar with the Sublimation Trend Box, it is a quarterly subscription box that sends you up to 8 full-size items for sublimation. It's a great way to experience new products and decide if they are right for your business. Now, these towels I'm going to show you in just a moment. They are so nice, by far the nicest I have seen. They're available in 2 different sizes, and they are comparably priced to the alternatives that are not even nearly as good. So I'm excited to show you this project. If you guys know, I love waffle towels, so let's go ahead and have a look at it. If you missed out on this sublimation waffle towel as part of the Johnson's Plastics Plus trend box, I highly recommend you just go and order yourself some because they are the best quality towel I have seen. Now, this is the larger size. This is 20 by 30 inches, but they do have that standard size that's 16 or 18 by 24, the one that, we've previously done. That size, that's usually my preferred size when it comes to something that I might want to sell as a set or in like a gift set or give away to someone, anything like that. Now, I do think that these larger ones can be a standalone item just because of how big they are, but not just because of that. Not because of that alone, I should say. First, check out this hemline. I mean, it's beautiful, it's straight, it's fantastic. The serge line too, high quality. Definitely the best quality I've seen these. The smaller waffles does allow you to have a more detailed design and not have it distorted quite so much if it is smaller or if it has a lot of small details. I usually do bigger, brighter designs on these anyways, but just for reference. These are also a bit thicker than other ones that I've seen. And I know that some of you don't like that microfiber feel, like you feel like it clings to your skin. I don't feel that normally. I don't feel that on these especially. So normally I recommend that you kind of follow this 1/3 rule. So if this is 20 inches, I would say make your design 7 inches, somewhere between 6 and 7 inches. Because I always envision these being folded like this and hung over your stove front. But because this is so nice, I think we can push the envelope on how far we make that design. So technically, when this is folded, it's actually about half the distance, but we usually want a little bit of space just so it's centered really nicely. But again, these are really nice quality, and especially because they're thicker, I feel like we can push the envelope. So this would be about 10 inches. Yep, right at 10 inches. And I think we could probably push this to 12 as long as the design that we choose is mostly focused in the center area. So it's like just little tidbits that are gonna wrap around when it's folded. In terms of the height of the design, this one is 30 inches. I would still stick with that 1/3 rule and do 10 inches. Folded in half, that's gonna give you a good amount of space on the top and bottom. So the maximum height would be 10 inches and the maximum width, I'd say push the envelope, go for 12. Now I do also think that because this towel is such high quality, that it is a great candidate for all over printing. You have like these beautiful straight edges and everything that just make it more favorable for that process. If you have a 16 by 20 heat press, doing one this size is not going to be an issue. You'll do 2 segments. I would recommend that if you take that approach, you do a design that does not have a background. So I do plan on doing another video where I'll show that option and we will discuss how we can do the multiple presses effectively on something this size. And also, I think doing an ombre, like a design that fades up, is also a fantastic choice. Again, that will be a separate tutorial. I got several of these towels. They are, I'm in love. I'm in love. I literally can't wait to put them in my kitchen. So anyways, these ones today will be for my grandmother. But let's go ahead and set up our design in Affinity Designer. We are working in Affinity Designer today, but if you are using a different program, the steps are overall the same. The first thing we want to do is open up a new document that is set to the page size we plan to print on in the orientation that our printer feeds the page. For this particular project, I'm going to be using letter size. So I know I said that we could go up to 12 inches, and that's definitely possible. But in the interest of not wasting a bigger sheet of paper unnecessarily, I'm going to go with like 10.5 inches so that it will fill a letter size page nicely, and I can just trim those edges and work off of that. If you wanted to do something bigger, you could absolutely use an 11 by 17 page or the rolled paper if you happen to have the Epson SureColor F570 Pro like I do, with the option for the 17-inch or 24-inch wide paper. So we will start by coming to File, New, and selecting our page size. Now, letter size is one of the defaults in Affinity Designer and pretty much all programs, so you can find that underneath wherever your print sizes are. This is showing this in landscape orientation. My printer feeds in portrait, so I want to select the portrait option to change that. Next, we're going to come over to our color tab, and you are going to select your color format, RGB/8 for sublimation. Your color profile should be set to sRGB IEC 61966-2.1. This is the most up-to-date option for sublimation. Keep in mind that if you have an older Mac, you may need to use the Adobe RGB 1998 option. Your ICC profile for your ink is not the color profile for your document. Those are two separate things. We have videos that discuss this. Please go refer to those. If you have any questions about the terminology, it is important to understand the difference to get the best color accuracy and output every single time with your sublimation printer. Now, by default in Affinity Designer, these will be set to CMYK, so you will need to make sure to select that color tab and change it. You can then update it by using the little icon here. Currently it says reset because I already changed it, but if you have the option to update, you can do that right here. When you have everything set, you can go ahead and click Create. Now, I didn't opt for any margins or bleed lines. If you do, they'll show up as a blue box, purple box, red box, etc. on your page. You can always change them right again in that document setup panel underneath the appropriate tabs. The next step is to import our graphic. You can do this by selecting the Place Image tool, which is this little picture icon in your Tools panel, or by coming to File and Place. Now I'm going to use a clip art compilation that I put together a few years ago that I've used for quite a few projects. Unfortunately, I don't have this for sale because that's against the terms of use from the creators that I got this various elements for. They don't really allow things to be sold as a compilation like this, only as actual finished designs, which I do have some finished designs utilizing this clip art element. But for today, for the towels, it's just going to be something that I can't send you to, but you can use any towel designs you want. And if you're looking for fun food and funny puns and things like that, I have over 150 designs on my website specifically for that. I love waffle towels, but this is for my grandmother. She wants flowers. So when you see that downward arrow with the portal, you're just going to click and drag. And that will allow it to expand as big as it can. Now, currently it's clipped off the edge of my canvas, and that's fine. Remember that what you see on your canvas is what is going to print. So you keep that in mind anytime you're resizing and adjusting something. If you want to be able to view anything that's off of your canvas, come to View and then View Mode and deselect Clip to Canvas. So see, now we can see those edges. I want to be able to see my edges where this boundary box is, because our boundary box, if we zoom in, has some negative space. See how there's some space between that edge and here? Once you have brought a clip art element in and you've resized it a little bit to about the size that you want it to be when it's printed, you can then right click on it and select the option to rasterize. And what that's going to do is it's going to get rid of all of that negative space and make sure your boundary box is nice and tight, so that when you resize it, you are getting the best, most accurate sizing you can without that negative space factored in. Come down to your transform panel located in the bottom right corner of the studio. Make sure that your aspect ratio is locked. When it's locked, it should have these little arms coming off of it and a little chain link look. And then we're going to set that width first. We always set the dimension that is the largest. So in this case, that's the width. And we're going to do 10.5 to shrink that down. So my height is going to come in just below 7 inches. That's perfect for our waffle towel. Now we can't print it this way because it's cut off on the edges of our page. So we will come up to our rotational tools, and with that layer selected, simply rotate clockwise. And then I'm going to center that right on my page. There we go. It's centered when we see the red and green axis line. You don't have to center it if you don't want to. I just always prefer to. And once it is, or that red and green axis line are going to be activated when you get it exactly centered and you have your snapping guides enabled, which are done through this magnet icon right here. So this is perfect on a letter size page. And when it prints, I'll just trim off the edges so that I can easily see how to lay it out on my towel. And also, just in case there's ever any ink that's caught on the edge of your page, you always want to make sure to trim it. So now that we have everything sized, set up, and orientated correctly, let's send this off to print. We're going to come to File, Print. You're going to select your printer from the drop-down menu. In this case, we're using our Epson SureColor F570 Pro. Next, you're going to click on Properties. And if you are using a converted sublimation printer, this is where you are going to make any of those color correction settings. If you've seen some of our older videos when I had the Epson Workforce 7710, which was a converted printer option, I had my presets saved so that I could just grab and go. I highly recommend doing that for any converted printer. That way all of your color settings and everything are all ready to go for you. For me, all I need to do is come to where it says Source, because my page size is already correct here. So the next step would be to go to Source, select Auto Sheet Feeder, since we are going to be using our sheets. And our media type is textile. And once I plug the printer in here in a second, it will connect that accordingly. Now we do want this to mirror, which this is set to mirror by default, but if yours is not, make sure to have that mirror image selected. I don't need a print preview, so I'm going to deselect that, and then I will just click on OK. I have a print preview right here in Affinity Designer. That's enough for me. And then we can click OK again, and it will send it off to print. So because this is pretty sizable, normally I end up doing these upside down, but I'm just going to let it flop over that other half. We're not going to worry too much about it. So we want to go ahead and get it as centered as we can on our heat press. I am eyeballing it. It looks pretty good to me. And then we want to lint roll before we do our pre-press. Any old lint roller will do. Make sure you do a really good job to get any of those little fuzzies or anything that might be on there, because they can end up turning blue when you do your pre-press and your final press, and we definitely don't want that. So once we're sure we have it all centered and whatnot, we're going to give this a pre-press. Your pre-press is designed to push out moisture And we always want to aim for a minimum of half of the time that our full press is set for. So in this case, that is 60 seconds. We're gonna do, ooh, we're a little too tight. We're gonna do 30 seconds once I loosen this. There we go. If you are in a more humid area or it's just a humid time of year, then you want to aim for the full time. So that could be 50 or 60 seconds, depending on the sublimation paper you are using. Always keep in mind that your sublimation paper plays the biggest role in the time and temp for any one of your products. I'm using the Epson sublimation paper with my Epson SureColor F570 Pro. I do find that this one releases in sort of like the average amount of time, which would be 50 to 60 seconds for something like this. In the past, I've used papers that are a little bit quicker, but I do really like this one with the printer itself. So I went a little bit longer than I planned. That's all right. Now don't worry if your waffles are a little compressed. We're gonna deal with that afterwards. It's okay. Let me make sure I got you guys on the screen there. You guys don't know this, but I have a step stool for our overhead camera. All right, so we are going to go ahead and get this centered. I might have mentioned before that I'm not really a big fan of thick paper, and the reason why is because you can't see the design. Now this is not as thick, so we can see the design, which I really rely on to line things up and make sure they're even, especially if I did not cut my paper straight, like in this case. I'm gonna do about a hand's width from the bottom. I think that that's good. And my edges look good. So we're gonna put some blowout paper on top. And we'll go ahead and slide this on back to Blue the Fusion IQ. 385 degrees Fahrenheit with medium airing on the side of firm pressure for 60 seconds. Now you are going to make sure to have your lint roll handy when this opens up, because while this is still hot, you want to lint roll those waffles to help revive them. That's one of the big secrets to waffle towels. If you don't like them getting flattened or maybe having a little indent in them from your paper, here's your secret weapon. So this should be a very quick project. Again, waffle towels are hands down one of my favorite sublimation items since the beginning. When I was selling wholesale, it was one of the most popular items that I offered. And I still love to just make them for myself, make them for gifts. They're kind of a knock out of the park every single time. And if you love some fun food puns and kitchen type of designs, I have, I think, over 150 on my website now. All right, let's pull that on out. Bring you guys on down so you can see. Now, anytime I'm lifting a textile up, I always want to hold my finger here so I can easily peel these up and pull it off and not risk doing anything that will cause ghosting. And then again, we're gonna, while it is still hot, whoops, we're gonna go ahead and revive all of our waffles. I know I can't be the only person who thinks that the way that that lint rollers used to be better, right? I'm not the only one. They are like not nearly as sticky on the roll as they used to be, and it's really annoying. All right. Okay, now we do still have the line from our press. You could just choose to press this again for like 10 seconds and it would help even that out. I don't usually worry too much about that because you're going to fold it up and people don't really care. The main thing was just that we revived our waffle texture across our main design area before it had a chance to settle. This is just here because, you know, we have pressed it on down. So there is our beautiful design. Our colors, vibrant. I love this design. And Let's fold it up, see how we did. And there you have it. So since this was a higher quality towel, I went with just this really beautiful bouquet clip art option that I've had for a few years. And we went with that larger measurements, but the bulk of it is in this area where it is the focal point when this is hanging up on the stove. Thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to check out the marketing guide for waffle towels. I go in depth about how you can market them, who to cater them to, what kind of design aesthetics to choose, and more. Have a wonderful day.